Hello, hi, good morning, everyone. Hi, team. Can we have it? Okay, great. So apologies earlier on. There was some technical issue with the voice. So here I am. Greetings to you all again, and just to quickly go through some of the key messages I have for you all, which I didn't manage to deliver it clearly earlier on because of some mic issues. But before that, there are some interesting questions that popped out throughout the day, and I would just like to address it also. So we have question asking us whether are investors allowed to use EPF monies to invest in ETF? Unfortunately, no, not at the moment. You will not be allowed to use your EPF monies to invest in ETF or any other stocks on Malaysia's stock exchange. So there are also questions when would be the inverse and leverage ETFs be made available to our clients? There are some restrictions on having that to all clients. So we are working our best to see what's the most efficient way such that eligible clients would be able to trade in such products. And of course, most importantly, a lot of investors are also asking us when we will be bringing in ETFs on other exchanges, other currencies ETFs as well. So we are working on that also. Hopefully by third quarter of this year, we'll be able to have those stocks made available to our investors in Malaysia. And there's this very interesting question from one of our client or one of the viewers, whether you can trade ETF online using CanTrade. We are not from CanTrade, so unfortunately I'm not able to answer you, but you can do it on FSMOne. If you do not have an account yet, please go ahead and open it. So today is a first time we have carried out a seminar surrounding ETF. Previously, we have done seminars surrounding unit trust, and we also have seminars introducing over the counters bonds to investors. And now we are really happy to introduce to investors exchange traded funds. So we find that it's very meaningful for us to have this today is because all along we started off as a unit trust provider. So our talks centered around the products that we have. And it's meaningful today because we have just recently launched our stocks trading services. And now you can learn about ETF from this event, and immediately on Monday you can act on it with no brokerages. ETF globally has garnered a lot of followers. It has increased in popularity, and in fact, for the past 12 months to the end of March this year, ETF saw inflow of about $1 trillion US. That's a huge market. More products have been created over the past few years in the ETF space, and of course, a lot of asset management companies have started to offer passive products, ETFs also. In Malaysia, it's still at its infancy, but certainly we look forward to growing it together with Bursa further down the road. And I'm sure you have heard from the various speakers the various advantages of ETF. Of course, the most highlighted one is its lower cost compared to active funds. Other advantages includes better liquidity. You can trade it intraday, and I'm not sure if anyone mentioned yet. ETF is also good. The way I look at it is there is very little cash drag. Some of the active fund managers they may choose to hold a bit more cash, but in terms of ETFs, they are structured such that they are always fully invested. And the good thing, really good thing is it's transparent. You are able to know what the ETF has invested into. Well, there are so many good things about the ETFs investing. I will also take the chance to highlight there are some downside to it also you have to consider, right? There's no sales charge. Investors, especially very small investors, we are talking about 100, 200 ringgit of investment amount. You really have to take into account the minimum brokerage fee for buying and selling the ETFs. And of course, in between, you have the bid-ask spread that you have to take into account as well. That's part of your transactional cost. And for the ETFs, it mirrors the market indices, and most market indices are built along market capitalization. So if you have a company that gets too big within the index, then the ETF will have significant exposure to it. And as the company gets even more expensive, it could jolly well be that the ETF would have to put more money into it. So this is typically not something you will find at active fund managers. So the debate about passive versus active investing, ETF versus actively managed fund has been ongoing for a long period of time. I don't think there is going to be a clear conclusion. And for investors like us, we just have to take a practical view. We don't really have to take the sides of ETFs or active fund managers. for us, whichever makes us more money after fees, then it is something that worthwhile for us to consider. And in our portfolios, they are not mutually exclusive. If you are constructing a portfolio, you can make use of both actively managed funds as well as passively managed ETFs. In fact, in our managed portfolios in Singapore as well as Hong Kong, we do incorporate some of the ETFs into our portfolio. So what are the situations that we look at when we incorporate ETFs into our portfolio? Sometimes it's because we want a specific exposure to a very niche sector, and we are not able to find a good active fund manager who can consistently deliver better than the benchmark. So this situation would be like, for example, the semiconductor industry. So this is somewhere we have used ETF. Other areas like Chinese technology, that would be another area that we have decided to use ETF instead of actively managed fund. And if you think about regional-wise, more developed markets for the likes of Japan, we always have to contemplate, whether we should substitute ETF for actively managed fund, because it has been quite challenging to find a good fund manager who can consistently beat the index, especially in the more developed markets. So in our portfolio, which we think it is quite well constructed already, you will see both ETFs as well as actively managed funds into it. We have heard from a lot of the speakers, so I hope that you have learned a lot more into about the ETFs in Malaysia and figure whether it's worthwhile to include it into your portfolio. So with that, I've come to my session, and I wish you Selamat Hari Raya in advance, and meanwhile, stay safe during the festive season. Thank you.